Today on Royally Us, Princess Kate makes a triumphant return to the Commonwealth Day celebration as King Charles reveals what's on his playlist. Plus, the king purchases a vacation home for safety as Michelin star chef takes aim at Meghan's Netflix show. Plus, Trader star Ivar Montmountain takes aim at Meghan Sussex. We've got that plus so much more in today's Royally Us. Everyone, and welcome to Royally Us. I'm Christina, and that's Michaela. We have a lot of news to get to this week, just like always.
Yeah, just as usual, it's never quiet in the world of Meghan, Harry, Charles, all the royals.
Never a dull moment. So let's get right into it. This was so great to see. Kate made a triumphant return to the Commonwealth Day celebrations at Westminster Abbey on March 10th and was a masterclass in royal symbolism and sartorial elegance. She was joined by King Charles, Queen Camilla, Prince William, Princess Anne, and the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester for the annual festivities that were held in London. Now, she dressed the part in a red Catherine Walker coat dress, which of course is a favorite designer that's also become a Commonwealth tradition. Now, the vibrant red hue associated with England and Wales was meant to sartorially convey a sense of national pride. Now, she has worn the shade on multiple occasions for the annual event. So it was nice to see her. This is the first time that she has attended the event in several years. And I know that she did a little nod to Queen Elizabeth as well, right?
Yeah, it was really sweet. She wore the same pearl necklace that she wore to the Queen's funeral. So I think that's really touching when you consider that all of the jewelry that she wears, as well as like her outfit choices, there's always a meaning. There's never anything accidental. So a nice.
No, definitely. Did anything else stand out to you on that day?
I just think it was really nice to see them all together, especially as you said that Kate hadn't attended the event in such a long time. So hopefully it's an indication that with big family events to come, we'll be seeing more of her.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, she's definitely been out and about. All right, moving on to my favorite story of the week. King Charles released his own personal playlist on Apple Music to mark Commonwealth Day on March 10th. So the playlist titled His Majesty King Charles III's Playlist features some of the King's favorite music artists, including Bob Marley, Kylie Minogue, and Grace Jones. He has quite the eclectic taste. He said, "Throughout my life, music has meant a great deal to me. I know that is also the case for so many others. It has that remarkable ability to bring happy memories flooding back from the deepest recesses of our memory, to comfort us in times of sadness, and to take us to distant places. But perhaps above all, it can lift our spirits to such a degree, and all the more so when it brings us together in celebration. In other words, it brings us joy." Ain't that the truth? So what were some of the songs that stood out to you, or the artists that stood out to you?
Honestly, I don't think I could pick just one. I think just the fact that it's so strange. You just don't think of like the monarch, the king, sitting listening to modern music in any capacity because royalty is associated with tradition and it's very, it's older and it's something that's very refined and it's not something where you would imagine the king listening to the radio or listening to a playlist or a podcast. So it was very sweet. All of it was quite surprising to me.
It really was. I love that Beyonce, Crazy in Love is on there, a little Bob Marley, like we said. So quite the mix. All right, well, let's spill the royalty. And keeping on King Charles, he purchased a property next door to Queen Camilla's vacation home amid safety concerns. So he purchased it's around $3.8 million property in Wiltshire, England, to prevent it from being turned into a wedding venue. The Mail on Sunday initially reported this back on March 9th. So a friend of Camilla's told the Mail there was an imperative for the king to act in order to ensure his wife's protection and privacy, in part because a potential buyer was considering commercial use of the property as a short-term holiday rental and wedding venue. I mean, I can't imagine getting married next to the king and queen, but Us Weekly understands that no public funding was used to purchase the private property, which overlooks the home Camilla purchased in 1995 following her divorce from Andrew Parker Bowles. Yes, I feel like this has been in the news for quite some time that this property was going to be turned into a wedding venue, but King Charles said absolutely not. And I get it. I mean, definitely for safety concerns.
Yeah, I think that it seems like this is something that Camilla's been struggling with for a while in terms of privacy with this particular property. I
Mhm.
can understand why they've done it because it does seem like, can you imagine having huge wedding parties and then they just spot Camilla in her garden, just like, trying to have her peace and quiet. So it's a difficult one. I couldn't imagine being in that situation. So, and they didn't use, as you said, that's the one thing that's definitely been highlighted. They didn't use public funding, so it's all
Right.
private, which is good because that's not a home that they use for any official engagements. It's just
Mhm.
purely their vacation home.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So a source told us that she was relieved. So I'm sure this takes a lot of weight lifted off her shoulders. So now they can vacation in peace, which is very, very nice. All right. Well, let's move on over to Meghan because with Love, Meghan, a lot of people are talking about this, including director Michael Speed, who revealed what it was like really working with her on the show. He told People magazine her cooking is pretty spot on. She's not a chef, and it's definitely not meant to make it seem like she is, but there's just a love of cooking that is palpable. And he added, for me, imperfection is a wonderful thing. It was fun watching her trying to get used to the kitchen because it's not her place. So we didn't hide that fact. And she's kind of walking and looking for things. So he added, I really wanted to embrace and celebrate all of the mistakes and mess and all that good stuff. So it seems like overall he had a great experience working with Meghan, and they weren't trying to pretend that she is this master chef in the kitchen, that she's just getting together with her friends to have a nice meal, to, curate some fun party ideas and things like that.
Yeah, it definitely gives some insight as to what they were trying to accomplish with the show because, as we discussed last week, it's definitely had some mixed reviews and we're really not sure what to make of it. And I think because it seems so perfectly curated with her beautiful cream outfits and just this lovely home and everything being placed together with the edible flowers and the sprinkles,
Mhm.
everything looks so beautiful. So the fact that she wasn't aiming for perfection, it's quite nice to know that like she didn't want it to be this big production, but it did come across like that to some people, I think.
Right. I mean, if that's not perfect, I mean, I can't imagine, like, I mean, I'm a mess. I can't imagine, like, but yes, I mean, it did come off pretty perfect to me. And I'm sure, like, in the back, you're filming a TV show, you want it to look as best as possible. But like I said last week, I did want to see more of those real moments. I wanted the mess, I wanted the mistakes and things like that. But maybe, I mean, it was picked up for season two. So maybe she'll kind of hear a lot of people's feedback and take that into consideration. And maybe be a little bit more raw and, accessible, I think.
Yeah, that'll be so interesting to see if anything really changes for the next season or if it's more of the same.
Definitely. British chef Jameson Stocks is really taking aim on Meghan's show. So he recently claimed that he was asked to consult on what he believed to be Markle's show with Love Meghan, but turned down the offer as to not be slammed for his participation. He told GB News, I was asked last year by Netflix if I wanted to consult on a lifestyle program. They didn't go into too much detail about who it was, but I already kind of knew anyway. I felt like even if she produced a really great program, which I was quite skeptical of, that I might get a little bit slammed for being a part of it. The Michelin star chef, whose website states he's an executive producer of food shows and executive chef consultant for numerous prominent companies, went on to say that he was worried about the possible public perception of the show, perhaps considering the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's exit from the royal family. This is so interesting because Us Weekly just recently confirmed that he was actually not asked to be a consultant on the show. So where do you think what kind of went wrong here?
Yeah, this is a really strange story to me. I wonder if it's just a case of somebody assuming something
Yeah.
and not having all of the correct facts, or if
Mhm.
there's some sort of misunderstanding. But yeah, it seems like everyone wants to talk about the show and everyone has big opinions about it, so it's understandable.
Yeah, I mean, he said that he claimed that he watched it. He didn't like it. Sometimes it's just best maybe to keep your opinions to yourself unless you have all the facts. So this one came back to kind of bite him a little bit. All right. Well, of course, we have had a Traitors royal connection this season because Lord Ivor Mountbatten, who is the second cousin of King Charles, is insisting Meghan is wrong, saying her last name is Sussex. So he was asked about his thoughts on the Suits alums rebrand by Town and Country on March 7th, and he shared why he thought the Sussex surname didn't make sense. He said it's interesting because she's completely incorrect. Her family name is not Sussex. Her family name is Mountbatten Windsor. Her children are called Archie and Lilibet Mountbatten Windsor. They're not called Archie and Lilibet Sussex because Sussex is a title. He continued, so they are the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, but actually he's Harry Mountbatten Windsor, and she would be Meghan Mountbatten Windsor. My brother is the Marquess of Milford Haven, but his surname is Mountbatten, so he's called George Mountbatten. This is like a whole history lesson, so I appreciate it. He said, when I read that, it was an article about her new program, Netflix's With Love, Meghan, and she said that her family name is Sussex. I know that you kind of broke this down last week. I mean, he also admitted that he didn't have a chance to see the show yet, but I'm not sure if he's going to tune in. I mean, he's been in this Traders run, but he said that he might be interested to watch it. I might not last long. So now we know where he stands on his stance on Meghan.
Yeah, it's interesting because him saying that titles can't be used as last names, like we know that they can. So
Yeah.
I wonder if it's just him speaking from his own experience because they've used the traditional royal family last name, but it's not necessarily how all royals do it. It's very complicated, so much history, and everyone has an opinion. So it's understandable that he's sharing his. And also really cool that he was on the Traitors and that we got to see a royal do a reality show. It's not every
Right,
day.
and he won. So I mean, he was a quiet killer all throughout, but he made it to the end. So I love it. I'd love to see what he's going to do with his trader money, even though he said he wasn't there for the money, but I'm sure it was nice to add to his pocket.
Yeah, it would be so funny as well if any of the royals were to ever, comment on whether they tuned in on the show and watched him. That would be hilarious.
Yes, I really wonder if they were tuning in each and every week. I would love it so much. All right, well, another fun week in royal news. Michaela, thank you so much as always.
Thank you. It was great.
All right, keep commenting, keep subscribing, and we'll see you next week.